So today we're hanging out with DadVan Mk.2 05 Ford Freestar. And here's what we are going to try to remedy here. Shut the sliding door and let me hit the door lock. Right, so what we've got is the actuator motor that's down inside the door here. Probably got a strip gear. It's kind of a known fault with these. I did look up the part ahead of time, and you know, it's over $100. Not really where I'm going to go with this today. What we're going to do is we're going to get this door panel off and then pull that actuator motor out and see if there is a fix. It's got to be a stripped gear. And if there's not a fix, we're going to unplug it, so at least we don't have to listen to the anymore. All right, stand by. So, okay, here it is from the inside, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this off and then bring you back. It's really not too bad to do. There's two screws. There's one here, and then there's one way down in the bottom corner over there. And after those two screws are out, then what happens is there's clips along the side and along the bottom. We're gonna pop those clips forward, and then there's going to be tabs holding it in along the top. So once the sides are out, pop it forward, lift it up, we should be able to get that whole panel out of there. Functional word there is should. All right, stand by. So before we finish popping that panel off, I wanted to show you this. You can see that kind of backlit funny. It's a panel removal tool. It's just like a little pry bar with a notch in it, and it's got this movable little rubber fulcrum. These are real nice for pulling these panels off. It's an inexpensive tool. You can pick them up hardware store, auto store, just a few bucks, and it's really nice because you can find those clips and just give them a little pop, and that'll lift that panel off without risking too bad breaking something. So that's a good one to have in your toolbox there. Yeah, it's not the worst to get that off, but there are a couple little tricks. Up here in the corner, this piece here kind of clips and locks together with the bottom piece, and there's a slide tab on the back where you got to kind of push and pull and maneuver that around. Just take your time. It goes pretty easy. It's always interesting getting these sliding doors apart on a van because there's not a lot of room to work. You got to kind of lay on your back underneath it to get those bottom clips out while the door is open, and then slide it shut and start wrestling with it. All right, there's some foam sound deadening on there. Let's peel that back and then take a look at what's our situation there. Okay, so these are usually held on with just some kind of gooey adhesive in a couple spots, and I don't want to rip anything. Some of the, like the Camaro's got plastic, and it's got this black goopy tar on the doors. That's a mess to work with. This is actually pretty okay. It's kind of like, I don't know, kind of like hot glue. So it's not horrible. All right, get this back and out of the way. So here is our locking mechanism. This vehicle does not have the power sliding doors on it, so we don't have to worry about all of that. I'm going to try to move this back out of the way a little more so we don't have to worry about that in the flopping around. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3 Torx bits here. T25s-ish, 27s. So we're going to pop those. That's just our manual lever. And the actuator motor we're concerned with is down here. if we wanted to right now, we can actually get to the plug. It's down here. We could probably just pop that plug off and just be done with the whole thing altogether. But I'm a little curious to see if we can get that out. If this starts to get hairy, it's not going to be worth making a big mess out of this. So we'll just pop the plug and button her back up again. Let me go grab a wrench, a driver, and we'll pull that assembly out of there. Stand by. So yeah, those are T27s. They're fighting a little bit because they got some Loctite on there. So here's a neat little thing that you can do. Of course, my screwdrivers, I couldn't get enough torque on it to turn those, and I don't want to strip anything. So here, this is a T27 driver bit. And rather than hook that up to like the impact driver or something, socket wrench, and if you put a 1/4 inch socket on the end of that, your driver bits will fit right in there. And now you've got a driver socket, and you got the leverage to loosen those up, and they turn pretty easy after that. So I'm going to finish pulling this out. These 3, I've already got the 2 that were on the strike plate on this side of the door, and then we'll pop this out and see what we got. All right, let's get you in here. There is a rod right here that you have to disconnect. There's a spring clip up inside here. Kind of looks like this yellow one, where you flip this little door open and then you pop that out. And before you do that, you can't pull this assembly. Now here is our actuator in question. It's just a linear actuator, moves back and forth. At least that's the idea. And you can see here's the lever that would go up. That's our manual. So we know if we take this motor out, or at least if we disconnect it, it's not going to lock up or anything. So it looks like it's held in place. There's a rubber boot on here. Looks like it's held in place with a couple of spring clips. These look like they just kind of pry up. There's one here and there's one on the back side here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to disconnect the electrical to it. Probably need a little screwdriver to get that clip loose. So we're going to disconnect that, and then I'm going to see just how much that motor is going to fight us coming out. And you know, every step along the way here, it's going to be, if it starts to look like it's more hassle than it's worth, we're going to disconnect this. We're going to make sure it doesn't rattle around inside the door, and we're going to forget about it. But let's see if we can get that out. Stand by. Okay, so I got that actuator out. There's just the one clip there, and these here, I pulled the boot back. It's just a dust cover. The spring clips, these things here, just grab this right here, and once you get those lifted out, kind of pop sideways. Made a kind of a scary sound there for a second, snapped, but it just popped out. This is where our journey is going to end today, folks. I was hoping that we would have screws here that we could take this apart, and that is not the case. This is all kind of riveted and glued and kind of looks like plastic welded or something together. It looked maybe like it would pop apart. It's not going to, unless we drill out all those corners, and you can hear it. It's all stripped out. So my guess is I'm gonna take another quick look at it, because there's a couple tabs, but I think that's giving us some false hope that we're gonna get this apart. Now there's an argument to be made that it's already screwed up, so why not just punch it apart and see what's in there. What you're going to see is a motor with a worm gear on it. It's going to move that back and forth. I don't know that there's going to be any fixing that. let's see what we can do with it. Maybe we can get it apart enough to at least see what makes it tick. All right, stand by. So yeah, I went and took a look at it, and I don't know if it's tough to see, but yeah, see there. I drilled out the corners thinking maybe those were just riveted, and there was a little plastic tab in there, but these are all cemented together. This is sealed, and I guess I could sit and hack away at the corners, but I think it's just, I mean, it's not going to ever work again. So what we're going to do is I'm not going to throw this out. I'm going to keep this. It's not so hard to take apart that when we're out and about again to get to a boneyard, take about 15 minutes, especially if you don't really care about the donor vehicle. Take about 15 minutes to yank one of these out of a junked truck. Certainly not going to spend the $100+ for that. We'll leave that out. It'll work without it, and we'll get rid of that noise, and we'll just have to go old school and actually unlock the door when we need to. All right, well, thanks for hanging out. We're going to get this button back up. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, you know, down there. Yeah, so we'll catch you next time, folks. Peace. Hey everybody, just a little postscript on that video. Rather than having this little wire in there banging around where I know that I would have traded one annoying sound for hearing this going click, 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 click down inside the door all the time. So pulled that harness out. Now remember, this one does not have the power sliding doors. The ones with that motor mounts down on that same plate that we pulled out, and I'm not sure that you could do that, so you'd have to tie that off. I mean, not a big deal to zip tie it, but if we don't need it, we don't need it, and we're going to keep this with the vehicle, so that's not a big deal. The other thing is to let me move you to put those panels back on. It's really not bad. The best way to do it is, once you got it kind of set in place, slide the door open, you see, you know, maybe about halfway, and then you can get your hands around the back side over there and around the front, and then kind of lay on your back and get your hands up and get those bottom couple. And it really, as far as sliding doors go, not the worst I've ever worked on by far. Yeah, not too bad. So there you go. Okay, catch you next. Oh, by the way, I did try it with the key on, key off. It didn't pop any codes or anything. I didn't expect it to. I didn't think it would be so sophisticated as to look for something that's not there. But it was good to check, and yeah, it's all good. All right, peace. Yeah, okay, you guys knew this was coming, right? So, soundtrack there in the background provided by my daughter on the piano. But okay, so here's our little motor, and we have a whole series of gear reduction, and that got you on shaky cam here. Hold on, I'm gonna put you in the stand so I can show you this. Okay, so a little extra light. We've got this popped sideways on us. That sits in there. And it's kind of a rack and pinion setup, right? So off of this gear, there's a shaft. It just pulls apart there. Okay, let me set this down. Now, what's supposed to be on there is this. And that little gear, there's 2 bits of it. There's another bit up in here. See if we can get that out. So, there you go. That's supposed to be round. So yeah, it wouldn't have mattered much had we even gotten this out with the intent of fixing that, because that is absolutely toast. You know, usually when you pick something up like this and you shake it and it goes well, that is a catastrophic failure. Oh, little bits. Yeah. So, yep, that answered that question well and good, didn't it? You know, so had to cut the corners off here because that was all molded together. But doesn't matter now. She's toast. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out on this one. Catch you next time.